Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys joining me for a little on the water video today. And we're going to be talking about fishing seawalls. You can see I got a seawall right behind me here. Going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to catch fish on them, because at certain times of the year, man, they're really good. And also, guys, apologize. It's been so windy here. I'm up at Lake of the Ozarks right now. It's so windy. It's been windy for 2 weeks. Hope the audio is not too bad. But also, before we get started, guys, a quick thank you out there to everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to the Fishing Teacher. I really appreciate that. I'd like to invite everybody to consider that. And also, guys, I'll show you the bait that I've been getting a lot of bites on here lately. This is my Blaukat throwback jig in the green and chartreuse, and I got a green super chunk on it. This is a really good color in the month of April, late March, especially like when you got water visibility. We have here at Ozarks a couple feet. So I'll put my throwback jig link in my tackle warehouse description if you guys would like to pick up a couple, because working pretty good right now. Okay guys, I'm going to turn the camera around here real quick and I'm going to show you the seawall and we're going to talk about it. So here we go. Here's a prime example of a nice seawall that's out of the water, and I wanted to do this video because being out of the water with the water low, you can see it a little bit better. So take a look at the seawall here and you can see sort of like what a typical seawall is. You got the wall there, and then you got, you know, usually some foundation, and they usually have some type of riprap to keep the erosion down. So this is pretty typical of what the seawalls look like in most locations. And guys, when the water is up, obviously, I mean, there's not going to be any fish now, but when the water is up, guys, this is some key structures, especially if the water is a little bit higher than normal. Now, obviously, you know, the extent of how much water's on this has to do with the lake level, but I want to talk about like the prime levels here, what to look for. And of course, anytime this, you can see we're on a nice little secondary point here. Anytime that you can find these seawalls on a secondary point, that makes them a really high percentage area. You can catch them on straight sections, but the points are really good. So, okay, let's talk about this a little bit. Guys, when you're talking about techniques and time of year to fish seawalls, it's all relative to the water level, because in most lakes that have seawalls out there, under normal water level conditions, you don't really have enough water on them. Usually it's a little bit too shallow. So this is a structure that you really want to capitalize on if the water is a little bit high. It doesn't have to be very high. Sometimes if it's just like a foot over normal, that can be plenty. But I normally like to have at least 2 to 3 feet of water right on the seawall itself. That's going to pull quite a few fish in there when it gets to that extent. Now, seawalls can be really good anytime, sorry guys, the wind's starting to come up here. Anytime that water temperature is above, you know, say 55 degrees, that's when seawalls are the best. And you can catch them on seawalls in the springtime of the year, in the summertime of the year, and in the fall time. Now, the two best times to fish a seawall, in my opinion, are the late pre-spawn, sort of like what we're in right now, if you do have high water, when that water temperature is in the mid-50s, and then again in the late fall. I've caught a ton of fish both times of years when the conditions are right with that. So you can catch them, you know, like, you know, other times of the year, like in the summertime on them, but normally you don't have the quality fish. A lot of the smaller fish will go there, but the bigger fish will definitely hang out in the pre-spawn and the late fall on these. Okay, my favorite technique, it just depends a lot on the water clarity and the water temperature. Probably, you know, my favorite way to fish a seawall, you know, in the springtime of the year, like if the water temperature's in the 50s, is with some type of a crankbait. You know, just getting on like a wiggle wart or some type of a shallow to medium running crankbait. I try to get on there and parallel those seawalls if I can, again, depending upon the water the level on them. Sometimes a jerkbait can be good, and sometimes a wacky rig, especially if you have seawalls that, you know, like there, you know, where it's behind some docks or something. Those fish really like to relate to seawalls behind docks in the springtime of the year, and skipping a wacky rig or a shaky head is a really good way to catch them on there. But there's a lot of different ways you can catch them under those situations. Again, a lot of it just depends on your water clarity. You may have a lake that's got a foot of visibility, or you may have a lake that's got 5 foot of visibility. But you're going to find, for the most part, seawalls are going to be better in lakes that have a little bit more stained water. I prefer water visibility of about probably anywhere between 12 to 20 inches. It seems like that really gets those fish in the shallow. Now, my favorite time of year to fish, and if I had a favorite time, would be the late fall, like November, early December. And guys, this is a great time of year to fish a seawall with a buzzbait or a spinnerbait. That's really the only two things you use it. I have caught so many quality fish on a seawall in the month of November, just fishing those buzz baits on those real shallow rocks. Those fish love to get up on seawalls in the late fall like that. And like I said, same thing with the spinner baits. You can wake a big spinner bait parallel to those things and catch them. But it's real situational, man. It's like you can't like go out to every lake and say I'm gonna fish seawalls today, because like I said, you got to have the right water level in order to do it. So anyway, guys, keep an eye on it. If you got some seawalls where you fish, keep an eye on that water level, target them when it's right, and I hope you guys catch some good fish doing it. We'll see y'all.